Greetings and welcome to another week of Miiverse drawings. This week I'm going to cover Pointillism. I'm going to be honest and say I'm not entirely sure how many folks use it. I myself have not used it exclusively. Let me go ahead and go into it and then I'll try to explain a little bit more as we go along. Alright, so this week, as I mentioned, we're talking about Pointillism. And so then you may question, well, what is Pointillism? Well, it's a technique in which you create an image dot by dot. In painting, it would mean that you would use different dots of pure color to create a larger image. When you view it up close, it would seem that you see the actual pure color dots. But when you back away from the image, then you would see the image itself form rather than focusing on the dots of pure color. In pencil drawings, however, you would literally create the whole piece in grayscale, dot by dot. The darker the shade, the more dots have been added to the area. The lighter, the less dots. With Pointillism, at least when you're working with pencils, you would set the mid-tone. If the object that you were creating had highlights, that would be great, because then from there you could create a mid-tone, and from there you would work lighter to the areas that's working towards the highlight, and the area that is not receiving light, or receiving, I guess I should say, less light, would become darker. But it's not simply just a scribbling of dark pencil color. It's a slow process where you do dot by dot, you create the darkness of the area that you're working in. So you're going to create layer by layer. You may have had the mid-tone, and then you'll work towards the darker part. You'll create the mid-tone, and then you'll add another layer on top. And I don't mean layer in terms of like Photoshop. I mean layer in terms of adding more dots on top of what you just did, because what you'll slowly be doing is getting it to be slightly darker than the area you were just in, and you'll be working your way towards however dark the object itself is. For some ideas, I do want to show you a couple pieces. The first one here is a sphere. I got it from Google Images, actually, but it's a sphere to kind of give you an idea. So what we have here is the highlight, the lightest part of the object where the light is shining on it. They created the mid-tone, and then they worked in slightly. As you see, it gets lighter as it goes in until it's in the highlight. And then beyond the mid-tone, they worked it where it started getting darker and darker until you have the darkest part. This is a simple example. The more, I guess I should say, from a famous artist is my second example, and I know I'm going to get this wrong because I always get his name wrong, but this is by Georges Seurat. I hope I got that right. And it's a Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grande Jatte? I'm not sure. It's been too long since I've been in French class. As you'll see, I'm not sure I'll be able to get too close in here, but for like some of his stuff, you'll see the closer you get in, the more you notice the actual specks of color that he used to create the image itself. And so those are two examples. I wanted one pencil, one painting to kind of give you an idea. Obviously, this is going to be different since we're doing digitally. It's not going to be quite, well, obviously we don't have color, and it's not going to be quite to the extent of this where we're going to have quite the ability to work with the black and white that we do here in this image. I should admit that I've never done any image on Miiverse myself, straight up pointillism. I'm not sure if there are many that have, if any. I do think this is kind of an important subject to kind of touch on, because while none of my images have been straight up done that way, I do sometimes use the technique to a degree for my backgrounds. Sometimes I like to, I wouldn't say cheese it, but I like to make a background, but I don't want to make it a solid white or black. So what I'll do is, like, you'll see some of my images where I'll have a black kind of fade into the white. If you were to obviously do this with painting or pencils or any other medium, this is a very time-consuming process. I'm not so sure I would say it would be for the for Miiverse, but I guess maybe it depends on your techniques and stuff. In our case, the version of pointillism that will be most similar will be obviously pencil, because it's basically black and white that you're working with initially. And with something like this sphere here, you could say, well, why wouldn't I just, you know, do this black, maybe add a few white dots or something, and, you know, touch it up. But it kind of loses the spirit of what pointillism is, and I really do feel like that cheesing it, that you can tell a difference when you're cheesing it versus when you're not. If you're trying to cheese it, then it may get another feel to it that pointillism doesn't give it. It would be difficult to show pointillism like being done as it is, at least in Photoshop. It would seem kind of pointless. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, let me know in the comments below or something, and I'll see what I can pull together. I thought about doing a live demonstration on the WePad or even in Photoshop, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm an art major that I don't feel like it would be helpful, but maybe I'm wrong, and if I am, let me know. And that goes for anything in any of my videos. If you feel like I didn't explain it well enough or show enough examples, let me know, because sometimes I take it for granted that this is what I study. So I'm going to show some pieces of artwork of mine from Miiverse. None of them have been 100% pointillism, but I'll discuss like the pieces and parts on them that I guess pointillism to a degree to get the look for it. And specifically on this Godfather one, this was one of my earliest ones. This was like the first one of mine that I really liked. I didn't spend as much time on it as I thought I would, but basically what I did was I don't want to go to a whole lot of trouble explaining all these, but I do want to cover a quick thing here. For this, what I did was I drew lines and then kind of blocked in what I was going to be working with and then colored the rest black. So to kind of get some of this mixture here, what I did was kind of the use of pointillism to kind of, I didn't want to color it obviously all black, because we need the kind of nice shade here for all this stuff. I didn't want to overdo it, so I kind of employed pointillism dot by dot and to get the look that I have. If I felt like it was too dark, I would go back with the white one and do the same technique over it. I kind of use that to kind of get the blend in well. Let's take a look at another image here. My Travis Touchdown. I specifically used it on mainly his hair here. It was really difficult to kind of get it looking right. So what I did was I erased what I had and kind of did the pointillism method. And I felt like it gave it a better feel. My Mount Fuji, I specifically used it on this tree. I wasn't getting the way I wanted the tree to look by just making it black and putting white dots in. So what I did was I cleaned out the tree. I left some areas just dark and added a couple white spots, but for the main part of the tree, I cleared it out, left it white, and then just went in and made it dark. Layer by layer, just adding in the dark spots that needed it in the areas that needed it, and kept adding to some areas to make it darker, to kind of give it some definition. Now this one I used it a lot, not exclusively. I would be lying if I said exclusively, but I did use it a lot for blending in from the dark to the Joker's face. Now some of this internal stuff isn't so much, but a lot of this blending in here, especially up top here, I used the technique to a degree. Grumpy Cat here, I used the technique to blend him in, or I believe it's a she. I believe Tired is she. Use that technique to kind of blend her into the background, or from the background, and used a lot of it on her eyes there. Not so much the ears. I kind of cheated that. I blacked it out and then did some white movement there. And lastly, this I guess I should say that this probably is my one that I did pointillism. Unfortunately, it's not 100% though. The lightning was not. On Samus, it was basically what I drew the shape out of her gun arm and then her mask and all. And basically I sat there trying to get what I thought the light source and from where it was coming from and all. This is an original. I created this all on my own, and I'm not even sure what made me think of it, but sat there for quite some time just trying to get it right, adding layer after layer after layer if I had to. Basically I would just add enough, set it aside, set it, I guess, back I should say, looked at it, did it need to be darker, did it need to be lighter, and then just adjust accordingly. So the idea itself is simple, but it's easy to want to cheat. But I think if you're going for a nice look, that you should really try to stick with it and not cheese it. I do feel like that you can see a difference between when someone actually uses it and when someone tries to cheese it. The feel of their dots is slightly off. Like some of mine, like some of my backgrounds, you might notice might not feel quite right. Let me see. Like this might not feel quite right because it feels movementy, like there's some movement in what I'm doing here. And you know, someone might have any number of reasons that they would like to do this. I mean, I do think it gives a different look, a fun look, a nice look actually. And you know, some people are always willing to try new and different things, and that's great. I think that's cool. So, you know, if you want to give it a try, go for it. See how things turn out. Okay, so that's pointillism in a nutshell. I hope I explained it well enough. Sometimes it's difficult to know how detailed or not detailed I need to go into things. If you feel like I left anything out, or you need more examples, or you need anything additional to this, let me know. Leave a comment or send me a message. I try to make things simple enough that everybody can understand and learn something from. I hope that was helpful. Again, any comments, questions, or anything, send me a line. I'll see what I can do for you. I try to get to my feed on YouTube at least once a week, sometimes a couple, depending. Even if it's not a week a video goes up, so drop a line and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great week. I know this is getting up towards the end of the week. I would hope to have it up by Wednesday of this week. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work out. But I'm going to get this done, cut, edited, all that good stuff, and hopefully up by this evening. But we shall see. I hope you all have a wonderful week.